Welcome, you curious mind, to the deep dive. We're here to explore specific sources, really dig in, and hopefully bring you some profound insights.
That's right. And today we're diving into a really fascinating one. Session 86 of the Law of One.
Yep. Our plan is to go through it question by question, try to shed some light on the key ideas, and, offer a positive way for you to connect with it.
Absolutely. And we're not just reading it, we want to look at the deeper meanings, the context, and maybe how these ideas resonate personally for you.
Exactly. We approach this material with a lot of respect, but also with an eagerness to uncover the wisdom inside. Okay, so where do we kick off with session 86?
Well, let's start right at the beginning. Question 86.1, which is about the instrument's condition.
Right. Dawn asks how the instrument is doing. Ross starts with her usual greeting, in love and light,
Hmm.
and then mentions that the instrument's physical energy complex has a slightly bigger deficit than last time.
Yeah, and lower vital energy, too. They mention significant calls upon that energy.
What jumps out at you there? The focus on the instrument's state right away.
Definitely. It really highlights how demanding this kind of channeling work is, energetically speaking.
Yeah.
When they say physical energy complex, think of it as just overall physical vitality. The fact that it's lower, well, it shows this isn't easy. It takes a toll.
Makes sense. A good reminder about the physical side of these deep connections, which leads perfectly into 86.2, doesn't it?
Oh, it does.
The questioner asks, okay, what are these significant calls on her vital energy?
And Ra's answer is interesting. They talk about entities with a thought
A
distortion.
thought distortion. What exactly does that mean here?
It seems to be this core belief, a sort of skewed perception these entities have. They think the instrument should just wipe away all their distortions for them.
Ah, like an external fixed expectation.
Exactly. And Ra points out that the instrument has been in contact with more of these entities than usual lately.
So it's like an energetic pull based on
Hmm.
this misunderstanding.
Pretty much. And it connects to something else Ra mentions, the instrument's own inherent desire to serve.
Right. And the fact she isn't consciously aware of the specific energy drain happening.
Hmm. It says a lot about selfless service, doesn't it? That deep compassion can sometimes lead you to give without fully realizing the energetic cost.
It really does. It makes you think, how do we serve authentically but also maintain our own energy?
A very relevant question for anyone trying to help others.
Okay, moving on. 86.3 is super brief. Just a confirmation, really.
Yeah, don't just ask as Ra is talking about actual incarnate third density entities causing this drain.
And Iraj just says yes. Simple as that.
But important, it grounds the phenomenon. This isn't some abstract interdimensional thing exclusively. It's happening with people, basically, in our reality.
Good point. It
Yeah.
keeps it relatable. Then 86.4 shifts gears.
Right, back to the fifth density, service to self-companion.
And the question is about their present situation. Ra's answer is very short again. The period which you may call crisis remains.
So no resolution yet. Whatever critical phase this entity was in, it's ongoing.
It maintains that thread from previous sessions, that tension involving this negative entity.
Exactly. And it sets up the next question.
86.5. What is the nature of this crisis?
And Ra lays out these potential outcomes. It's all about the companion's polarity reaching a critical point.
Okay, what are the possibilities they mention?
Well, first, the companion might retreat, basically pull back and let their fourth density minions, as Ra calls them, handle things.
A delegation. What else?
Second, the companion could actually lose its negative polarity, which would mean, Ra says, it couldn't make these greetings anymore. A big shift.
Wow, yeah. A fundamental change in their alignment. And the third option,
This one's interesting. The group supporting the instrument could lose its polarity.
the good guys lose polarity.
Well, if their positive alignment weakens somehow, and if that happened, Ross says, the negative companion could actually continue its greetings.
It's intricate. It suggests the group's strength provides a kind of shield or buffer.
It really does. It points to this complex interplay between individual and group consciousness and how crucial maintaining that positive group polarity is.
Okay, deep stuff. Let's switch focus now to 86.6. This goes back to the idea of the veiling of the mind.
Right, specifically concepts like visioning, envisioning, or far-seeing. The questioner wants a clearer explanation.
How does Ra tackle this? It seems pretty abstract.
They start by acknowledging the problem. Our language just isn't really built to describe the unconscious mind accurately.
Yeah, words feel clumsy for that sort of thing.
Exactly. Ross says the deeper mind works with concepts, feelings, essences, not words.
And they use that analogy, right? The music one?
Yes. The melody versus the written notes. You can write down C, G, E flat, whatever.
But it doesn't capture the feeling of Beethoven's Fifth, that victory melody Ra mentions.
Precisely. The feeling, the meaning, the essence. That's like the reality of the unconscious. Our words are just the notation, a pale description.
So far-seeing is.
It's Ra's term for that deep dive, that penetration into the veiled part of the mind. It signifies reaching a level of understanding so profound that words can't really do it justice, like truly getting the symphony, not just reading the sheet music.
That makes a lot more sense. It respects the mystery and depth of it. Okay, next up, dreaming. Question 86.7.
A big topic. Dawn asked for a definition and how dreaming helps us polarize, spiritually speaking.
And Ra gives quite a detailed breakdown, doesn't it, depending on our energy centers?
Yeah, they define dreaming fundamentally as communication. Conscious mind talking to unconscious mind across the veil.
Okay, and how it works depends on blockages?
Blockages, activations, crystallizations in the chakras, basically. Our energetic state shapes our dreams.
So let's break that down. If someone has blockages in the lower center's root, sacral, solar plexus.
Ra suggests their dreams often replay recent events, recent catalysts, or dig into those deeper, stubborn blockages.
Like the subconscious saying, hey, look at this issue.
Pretty much. Offering clues, symbols, things for the waking mind to chew on and maybe work towards unblocking.
Okay, what about people with fewer blocks? Maybe green reactivated, the heart center open, or higher?
For them, dreaming might reflect more temporary reblockages, things that
Yeah.
happen during the day that momentarily threw them off balance.
So still useful to pay attention to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pondering those dreams can still give insight into how you're processing daily life, your reactions to catalyst.
Then Ra mentions something else. Unusual unblockage, maybe through intense catalyst like physical death nearby.
Yeah.
Or just a very activated green ray.
Right. In those states of greater openness, Ross says dreaming can become precognitive.
Seeing the future.
Glimpses, perhaps, because that part of the mind isn't as locked into linear time. It touches on time-space, where past, present, future are more fluid.
And Ra says this can lead to more compassion.
Yes, a greater compassionate love for all circumstances. Seeing the bigger picture, maybe, helps foster that acceptance and empathy.
Wow. Okay, and finally, the adept. Someone consciously working on their path, balance centers, opening the indigo ray.
For them, Ross states dreaming becomes the most efficient tool for polarization.
The most efficient. How so?
They can actually work consciously in the dream state, call on guides, their higher self, use affirmations. It becomes an active space for learning, teaching, and aligning their will.
Like conscious spiritual practice while asleep.
Exactly. Though Ra does add, not all dreams are about polarization. There are other functions, too.
Right. What an incredible spectrum of possibilities within dreaming. So, question 86.8 asks, who designs the dreams? Is it programmed by our higher self or something?
Ra's answer puts the responsibility squarely on us. The mind-body-spirit complex itself makes use of the dreaming faculty and shapes its activity.
So it's internal. And 86.9 clarifies it's the subconscious mind that's the scriptwriter.
This is correct, Roth confirms. Our own deeper mind is the architect.
Which really implies our dreams are deeply personal, coming from our own hidden depths.
Absolutely. They're messages from ourselves, to ourselves, essentially.
Okay, 86.10 then asks about accuracy and recall. How well do we remember dreams when we wake up?
Ra kind of hedges a bit, saying it varies because dreams are diverse, but generally, good recall is rare unless you've trained yourself.
Trained yourself how?
By disciplined observation. Ra suggests immediate recording of every detail upon waking as the key training method, really sharpening that recall ability.
Because otherwise, what's the usual experience?
Ra says it's usually muddied, muddled, and quickly lost, which sounds pretty familiar to most of us, I think.
Definitely resonates. So that effort to recall is crucial if we want to use the information.
Yes. Without recall, the messages, the clues, they just fade away.
Which leads straight into 86.1. Can remembering dreams actually help us find clues to specific energy center blockages and potentially clear them?
Ra's answer is a clear and simple, this is so.
Wow. That's a powerful validation for dream work, isn't it?
It really is. It confirms that paying attention to our dreams is a practical tool for self-awareness and even energetic healing. Finding those specific clues can really guide our waking efforts.
Okay, so besides polarization and finding blockages, are there other valuable functions of dreaming? That's question 86.1.
Ra highlights two more general valuable functions. First, dreaming is this finely wrought and excellently fashioned bridge between conscious and unconscious.
A bridge. For what purpose?
For healing, actually. Ra says distortions in our body's energy web, caused by unbalanced energy coming in, get healed during dreaming.
So dreaming is like energetic maintenance.
That's a great way to put it. Ra stresses that getting the right amount of dreaming is crucial to avoid serious imbalances in the whole mind-body-spirit complex. It's a nightly reset and repair process.
Fascinating. Okay, what's the second function?
This relates to those visionary dreams, the kind prophets and mystics might have. Ra says these originate deep in the roots of mind.
And their purpose?
They can serve the collective, the hungry world, as Ra puts it, offering guidance or insight that benefits others, even if it doesn't directly polarize the dreamer themselves.
But if the dreamer then acts on that vision to serve others?
Then it does increase their own positive polarity if their desire is truly to serve. So the act of sharing the vision becomes polarizing.
So dreams can be sources of collective wisdom too. Amazing.
It really broadens the scope of what dreaming can be.
All right, 86.13 is quick. Is REM sleep the state of dreaming?
Yes, Ra confirms that. REM, rapid eye movement, is the physiological correlate.
Good to have that link clear. Then 86.14 notes that REM happens in bursts with gaps. Is there a reason for that pattern?
Ra confirms, yes, there's a particular reason for the intermittent nature.
Okay, so what is the reason? That's 86.15.
Yeah,
This gets a bit complex, right? Time, space versus space-time?
a little mind-bending, yeah. Ra explains that the parts of dreaming most helpful for polarization and mystic vision actually happen in time-space.
Which is like another dimension.
Sort of. A non-linear reality. They use the metaphysical to physical bridge to manifest these experiences in our physical brain, which takes what seems like a short time in our linear space-time.
But the actual experience in time-space is much longer.
Far greater, Ra says. So a short REM burst here could correspond to a vast experience there.
Okay. And what about the gaps between REM? Is anything happening, though?
Yes. Ra says the bridge is still working during those non-REM periods. It's constantly transmuting or healing distortions in our energy field caused by daily life, by unbalanced energy influxes.
And that healing happens more in our regular space-time reality.
Mostly, yes. That healing work happens largely in the space-time part of us, but still using that bridge connection to time-space. So the whole sleep cycle, REM and non-REM, is this dynamic process of information exchange and energetic healing across dimensions.
Wow. It paints sleep as incredibly active and complex on unseen levels.
Far more than just resting the body.
Okay, shift in topic again with 86.16. Back to the veiling. The questioner asks for a list of important losses, knowledge and control over the body that were actually helpful for our evolution.
And Ra puts on the brakes slightly. They suggest this needs some intervening material first.
Yeah.
Meaning the questioner needs to grasp some other concepts before the answer to this question will fully make sense. Ra is guiding the learning process.
Right, so in 86.16, Don basically says, okay, I don't know what material you mean. Any hints?
And Ra politely declines to spoon-feed the answer. They say they'll answer the original question later, once Don figures out what's missing. It really emphasizes the seeker's role.
Yeah, you got to do the work yourself sometimes. So Don pivots in 86.16. Instead of asking what was lost, he asks why the loss of knowledge and control was helpful.
And this Ra answers. They explain that before the veil, everyone knew the body's potential. Free range, total knowledge.
Sounds good, no?
Paradoxically, Ra says it limited polarity development. With everything known, every option clear, there was less need to develop strong will, strong biases, the very things that drive polarization towards service to others or service to self.
The lack of mystery removed a certain striving.
Exactly. But after the veil, that knowledge became hidden, shrouded. We became unaware of how to best use our bodies, how to manifest our beingness.
Okay, and that lack.
That lack created desire. A desire to know, to understand the body's possibilities. And pursuing that desire develops will, develops focus, creates biases, and generates that unique force crucial for choosing and strengthening a polarity.
So the ignorance fostered the seeking, and the seeking built the spiritual muscles needed for polarization.
That's a great way to sum it up. The veil created the necessary friction for growth.
Okay, makes sense. Then 86.1 time asks for specific examples to make this clear, like compare the use of one bodily function before and after the veil.
And Ra agrees, setting up the next answer.
Which is 86.20, focusing on sexual energy transfer as the example. How is it pre-veil?
Ra says it was always possible, easily done. There was this unshadowed, clear understanding of the body and its connection to others.
But they didn't use it much beyond the heart level. Green ray.
Apparently not, because the understanding that everyone was the creator was so complete, so inherent. Seeing another as just the creator meant there wasn't that same drive for intense bonding or seeing one person as more creator than another through that specific act.
A very different social dynamic implied there.
Completely. But post-veil.
It became much harder to achieve even that green ray heart-connected transfer because of all the mystery, the confusion, the lack of knowing about the body.
Right. The veil obscured the process. However,
However,
when that transfer did happen successfully, with love and intention between a bonded pair, it was more likely to create powerful catalyst
catalyst for what?
for deeper bonding, for shared spiritual growth.
Mm.
And this success made higher energy transfers, blue ray, indigo ray, more likely within that committed relationship.
Allowing the creator, as Ra says, to know itself with more beauty, solemnity, wonder.
Exactly. The difficulty, the striving required, made the achievement more profound. Ra calls the sacramental use of this function a source of significant gains in polarization and the ability to serve.
So the veil, while making it harder, ultimately increases potential usefulness for spiritual evolution.
Precisely, an obstacle that became an opportunity for deeper experience.
Okay, 86.21 asks, were other lost bodily controls or knowledge areas as effective as this sexual energy example?
Ra says basically, yes, every function has some potential for catalyst post-veiling, but they chose the sexual energy transfer because it's so central, and its usefulness was particularly increased by the veiling.
Got it. And then Ra notes the instrument's energy is low, asks for just one more full question.
Always that reminder of the energetic cost involved in these sessions.
So the last main question, 86.22, it explores veilings related to interacting with others versus those just related to the self. Are the other self-related ones generally more efficient for polarization?
Ra mostly agrees. Interactions with others provide a primary field for choosing service to others or service to self, but they offer one key exception.
Which is?
Negatively polarized entities, they might intensely focus on their own physical form, its perceived attractiveness, or even unattractiveness specifically to manipulate others.
Ah, so even a self-focused veiling can be weaponized for service-to-self interaction.
Exactly. It shows how intention shapes the use of any aspect of being. After this, Ra asks for only brief queries.
Right, so 86.23 is the final one. Anything the group can do to improve the instrument's comfort or the contact.
Ra praises the instrument's own preparation mental vibrations, prayer saying it prevented distortions this time.
That's good.
They advise the group to keep carefully managing her physical activities, encourage things that replenish vital energy.
Because her mental and spiritual energy preservation is key to her being able to do this at all.
Right, and then there's that very practical note about the censer, the incense burner. Just to be mindful of its physical alignment because the smoke, the effluvium, can vary, potentially affecting the contact subtly. A little touch of earthly logistics.
Grounding it back to the physical setup. And with that,
Ra gives their closing. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and the peace of the one infinite creator. And the farewell. I am Ra. We leave you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator, Adonai.
Adonai. Wow, what an incredibly dense and thought-provoking session that was. Dreaming, the veil, polarity.
Absolutely. The layers of meaning around dreaming alone, the healing, the communication, the potential for conscious work, it's just immense.
And reframing the veil not just as a limitation, but as this catalyst for desire, for will, for deeper connection. That's really transformative, isn't it?
It offers such a profound perspective on why our experience might be structured the way it is. Lots to chew on there.
We really hope this deep dive into session 86 has sparked some insights for you, maybe some of those aha moments.
Yeah, definitely encourage you to sit with these ideas, maybe revisit the material yourself, and see how it resonates with your own journey.
Thanks so much for joining us for this exploration.
May your own path be filled with understanding, love, and light.
Until next time, remember that deep connection.
Yeah.
I am you, and you are me.